Something is building in Kenya right now, and it is no longer something you can ignore. It is no longer something happening quietly in the background. It is now moving into the open, and people across the country are beginning to feel it in real time. From the moment you step outside, the pressure is that transport costs rising, food prices climbing, and a growing tension in conversations everywhere. People are asking the same question: what is really going on in Kenya? But here is the part many are not ready to hear. This is not just about fuel. This is not just about protests. This is something bigger, something deeper, something that could change everything. Stay with this story, because what is unfolding right now is only the surface, and what lies beneath might shock you. Imagine standing at a petrol station, watching the numbers change again and again, each increase hitting harder than the last, drivers shaking their heads, business owners doing quick calculations in silence, and ordinary citizens wondering how they are supposed to survive another week. This is where it begins, but it does not end there. Because when fuel prices rise, everything follows. Transport becomes expensive, food becomes scarce, and daily life turns into a constant struggle. And when millions of people feel that pressure, at the same time something begins to shift. Frustration grows, voices rise, and slowly the streets begin to respond. Before we go further, take a moment to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications, because the story you are about to hear is still unfolding, and you do not want to miss the next update. Because while the public is reacting, yes, something else is happening behind closed. At Ruto'S, power is shifting. Alliances are being tested, and not everyone is on the same page anymore. Inside the political space, tensions are rising, conversations are getting sharper, and decisions are becoming more difficult. And when leaders begin to disagree during a crisis, the consequences rarely stay hidden. They begin to show. And right now, they are starting to show in ways that cannot be ignored. Across the country, protests are beginning to take shape. Not just random gatherings, but organized expressions of frustration. People coming together to demand answers, to demand solutions, to demand change. Young voices are getting louder, workers are speaking out, and communities are beginning to push back against the rising pressure. But here is where things become unpredictable, because protests are not just about numbers, they are about energy. And right now that energy is growing. And when that energy reaches a certain point, it can either bring change or create chaos. So the question becomes, which direction is Kenya heading? Because at the same time, economic pressure is increasing, political tension is rising behind the scenes, leaders are making moves, quietly positioning themselves for what could be a major shift in power. And while all this is happening, the everyday Kenyan is caught in the middle, trying to survive, trying to adapt, trying to understand what tomorrow might look like. But what if tomorrow looks very different from today? What if the situation escalates faster than expected? Because signs are already there. Businesses are struggling, transport systems are adjusting constantly, families are cutting back on essentials, and uncertainty is becoming part of daily life. This is no longer a temporary issue. This is beginning to feel like a turning point. And turning points come with consequences, some visible, some hidden. And here is something that should not be ignored: the silence in certain places. Because sometimes what is not being said is just as important as what is being said behind the scenes. Conversations are happening, decisions are being weighed, and strategies are being formed, but the public is only seeing part of the picture. And that incomplete picture is creating even more tension, because people are trying to connect the dots, trying to understand why things are happening the way they are, trying to figure out what comes next. And the truth is, no one has a clear answer yet, but everyone can feel that something is changing, something significant, something that could reshape the future. Because when economic strain meets political uncertainty, the result is rarely stable. It becomes volatile, it becomes unpredictable, and that is exactly where Kenya seems to be heading right now. But let us not forget the human side of this story. The market trader adjusting prices, hoping customers will still buy. The commuter calculating whether they can afford to travel to work. The parent making difficult choices just to keep things going at home. These are the real stories behind the headlines, and they are happening every single day. But even as these struggles continue, something else is quietly building momentum. A sense of urgency, a feeling that time is running out for solutions. Because the longer this continues, the harder it becomes to control. And when control is lost, the situation can change very quickly. So, what happens next? That is the question everyone is asking. Will leaders find a way to stabilize the situation? Will tensions ease before they escalate further? Or is Kenya moving toward a moment that could define its future in a way no one expected? Because right now, everything is connected. The fuel crisis, the rising protests, the political tension, each one feeding into the other, creating a cycle that is becoming harder to break. And as that cycle continues, the stakes keep getting higher. But here is one thing you need to remember. Moments like these do not last forever. They either lead to resolution or they lead to something bigger, something that changes everything. And that is why this moment matters. Because what happens next will not just affect today, it will shape tomorrow. So stay alert, stay informed, and keep watching
closely, because this story is still unfolding. The next chapter could come faster than anyone expects. If you have made it this far, you already understand how serious this situation is. Subscribe to our channel right now and turn on notifications so you never miss any update, because we will continue to bring you every development as it happens. Kenya is not just facing a challenge. Kenya is facing a defining moment. And what happens next may surprise everyone.